Hey guys, welcome back to another Foundry review. We are super excited to bring you the review for the latest season of The Mandalorian. We finally got season 3. We got the first episode, and we got the boys all here to talk about it. We got Johnny, we got Sly, we got myself, Ken. What's up, guys? You ready to talk about this episode?
Yeah, man, really excited. Yeah, we got a brand new episode 1. Was it Apostate, right?
Apostate. I think it's chapter 17, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
chapter 17.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, brand new episode finally. Man, why was really a lot of mixed feelings.
Yes, yeah. I
Mostly
guess that's where we'll
discussed.
start off. There's a lot that happens, but also not a lot that happens. It's kind of a weird episode because they throw us right into it, and they kind of give us a little like they're trying to make us, I don't know, think that the beginning of this episode's about him, but it's not. But then it is.
It
It's
was,
kind of a weird fight sequence. The whole thing.
It was
Like,
a
they're
little
doing this.
random twist that they
Yeah.
kind of wanted to aha you for in the first opening 2 minutes. Just kind of it was really neat seeing all the different Mandalorians there. It was like a big Mandalorian ceremony.
colorful.
Very like a weird Mandalorian ceremony, and they were crowning a child with this helmet who could be like young Pedro Pascal, and it's very believable. And then a giant monster bursts out of the water, and then there's a little starship, that comes roaring out of the clouds, and it's like, oh, that's not actually Mando. That's just a kid.
His new Naboo starfighter that we don't see in Mandalorian, we see in Book of Boba Fett. So if anyone didn't watch Book of Boba Fett, you might be really confused why he has a new
Spoilers.
ship.
Yeah.
But that whole fight sequence I felt was a little bit strange. I was like, I guess because they have their Mandalorian pride, I was like, they could just go into that cave and they'd be fine. That thing would not fit inside that cave.
That'd be
They just
fine,
all
though.
run back there and all right, we good, folks.
I've got
Throw a
some
couple
gripes
grenades.
with, the most renowned bounty hunters and hunters of creatures in the galaxy having a hard time with a fucking crocodile. Okay? I have a major issue with it. I mean,
They're all new people.
the first dude got Scooby snacked so goddamn quick.
Sly Wars
And then
theory going hard now on these.
I
on
mean, it
these-
was it was bad. It was so bad because it's like, dude, their ancestors, sure, their ancestors were badasses that rode mythosaurs, but I mean, come on, it's literally part of their like tribe and clan.
And there's a lot of them too.
Yeah, exactly. There's plural of them. They've got
There's
rockets.
plural of
There's plural. They've got rockets. They've got Beskar. I mean, dude.
No wonder
They
they're a
had
dying
thermal-
breed.
For real, dude. That's because they're freaking pulling some like queen sacrifice type shit over here. He's like, let me just stand down and get chomped by this little dino nuggy. Like, what the hell is this?
I don't know.
What?
You should have let them all get eaten. Then he'd be like, "Well, fuck. There's no one to tell me I'm not a Mandalorian anymore." Like,
For real,
goddamn.
I am
he
the
would've been like,
Mandalorian.
apostate? I think not. I'm getting a promotion.
I think your dead bodies say otherwise.
Yeah. I think the only thing that I could potentially say would be why is I'm guessing. I mean, a lot of them got wiped out, so a lot of them may be like new or not.
Noobs.
As,
Yeah, or as ceremonial, ceremonial Mandalorian. Like you are part of the Mandalorian culture,
Ceremonial, man.
but they're not actually like a Mandalorian through practice.
That would be funny. That would be funny. That's insulting almost because this is the cult. This is not just like the planet Mandalore where, sure, you look at the Mandalorians, some of them are pacifists like, the
Right.
Duchess Satine. But this is the cult of the Death Watch. I mean, these are literally
maybe they were in
children
the
of
training
Watch.
process still. I don't
Training
know. Who
process.
knows?
That's a valid point. Yeah, I gotta give you credit there, but at the same time, I feel like ceremonial would be. That's just
Oh,
a
yeah,
smack
I
in
don't
the
know about
face.
that.
It's a smack in the face to the viewer because it's like if you have been paying attention, you should know better than to like see these cannon fodder
Nah,
death.
yeah, just lazy. That's all it is. It's
Exactly.
just
That's
it's just
all it is.
lazy to make him look good. And I think-
Exactly. And there's better ways to do that without making, his surrounding forces look incompetent.
Yeah.
There's better ways
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah, I mean, even the armorer kind of looked like, ooh, what you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Just
you're
splashing around
experienced.
in the
I know
water,
you're
and I'm like,
experienced.
what is this?
Yeah. So Mando and Grogu joined the fight. Then he went there pretty much to talk to, the blacksmith. Well, before, I don't want to run down the episode like we used to do, but like I had a lot of good stuff I liked about this episode. I think with the what's really surprised me is that when we saw Navarro, I think it was a booming new world. You know,
Navarro's
I think
Coruscant now.
it is the most growth in a Star Wars system I've ever seen in the last like 50 years of Star Wars media ever.
Yep.
Yeah.
The most growth, whether
3
it
seasons, it went from like an absolute just dust ball to being like,
The
look,
fucking most-
culture,
yeah, the
thriving. We
most-
have cedar.
a most icy looking place to like we have hedges now. We have a hedge maze garden. You know, and
Yeah,
it's
we
like,
don't know
we
how
have-
much
we
time
have
has
government.
passed though. Like
that's a good point. But like I
it's hard
really
to
like
tell.
that. I love seeing that. I was like, holy crap! Like you never see this in Star Wars. Like societies
true.
have. And even like Carl Weathers talks about it, and he's like, yeah, it's booming. He's like, it's going great. He's like,
high
we're gonna,
magistrate now.
yeah, he's like, we're gonna be our own. Not only he's growing, but the community's growing, and he's like, there's a lot of money coming in as well. It's like this is awesome. Like that's great that the world is growing outside of like the Mandalorian's grasp and everything. Like the world is still existing and continuing. I did really like that part.
Yeah,
I
and
thought
like
that was pretty sick.
that whole conflict with those pirates was because that used to be a bar and now it's a school because it's a more civilized place. And they were like, this used to be a bar. I want to get a drink. It's like, no, that's a school now. And that was that whole conflict. And so like it just kind of shows how different things are. And like the fact that he's got like droids carrying his cape now.
Oh,
like,
it's so
he-
it's so
he's
good.
eating that shit up.
I
man.
know
He
it's
is-
so
he
good.
is
I love it.
Absolutely.
feeling himself.
I love that too. I thought the pirates were. I really liked the practical effects on most of the pirates that we saw. I thought very
kinda
good.
Similar to
I
Book of
didn't
Boba
like
Fett.
the practical effects of the pirates in space, but I liked the practical effects of the pirates in the town.
What did you think of Swamp Thing?
the head honcho pirate
Yeah.
Honestly,
sitting out in space.
watching this, it felt like Disney has ran out of ideas and like, Pirates of the Caribbean?
I was getting that too. I was getting that
It's
feeling.
exactly what it was. It's like
It's
a carbon
interesting.
copy.
Because they're like trying to create some new species, but like they don't feel like they quite fit with Star Wars, you know?
'Cause they
like
don't.
that doesn't feel like a character you would see in the old school Star Wars. Like they've mostly stuck to the OG like alien
like
races or
Quarren
whatever.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
but
can
then they
draw
put that one.
inspiration.
Saw Trandoshan as
Draw
well in
inspiration.
this
Oh
episode.
yeah, yeah. I thought that was interesting. I was like, really? A Trandoshan pirate? Really? All right.
We did get those other new alien species though, and those I actually think work really well. Those little tiny ones.
The one, yeah, they look like from Men in
the
Black.
Babu Freaks.
Babu Frick, like
Yeah.
those guys are funny actually.
Yeah,
I think
they-
those,
I don't mind
those,
them.
Those
I
are
just-
pretty good.
I'm kind of getting tired of the whole Grogu munching on everything.
Are they
that's,
the
you know,
Azalians?
Oxide.
Is that what they were called?
Is that what their species might be? That
I have
sounds
not
no
right.
quite
idea what
sure.
they're-
But the
Look
ones
that
that
up.
were working on IG-11's body,
Yes,
they remind me
because
of the
that's what
little
he's gotta
worm,
do.
the little worm
That's his
guys from Men in Black. That's what they reminded me from.
A little
Oh.
bit, yeah. I can see what you're going for.
Yeah, this pacing of the episode is really off, and it felt like they were skipping past way too many things, and
Skipping past, like what?
like just each scene and each like piece of dialogue, and it's like you're gonna take away from something from the scene. It's like we have to. They say it out loud, and like this is what you're supposed to think now. This is what you're like. Everything felt like very, very forced and very just like unnatural and just kind of synthetic. You know, it's just like. And here's what you're supposed to think of this scene, and after this scene, and after this scene, and it's just like, boom, 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 like way too fast. I don't think anything really like kind of hit home, besides like, it was over really fast because it was a really short episode. I did love seeing Bo-Katan's castle at the
Why
very
she was
end.
sitting there like that?
Yeah,
Who
just
knows?
with like the most unlived castle. It'd be awesome. If she had like to-go food everywhere and like bags of like fucking wine just kind of laying around. She's like got
That would be
slippers
more
on.
believable.
Yeah,
I don't
she-
think the writers really thought about like just having her sit there casually waiting for Mando to show up. Like she could have been like sharpening a blade. She
I
could
know,
have been
like
just
a
cleaning
device,
up.
like-
Anything, but just sitting on some like empty throne room because all of her followers abandoned her.
yeah.
It was just
Yeah, like they got the point.
cinema sins.
But that's funny. I think one thing I really did like about this episode, and it's small, it's a minor thing, but it was really cool to see, was when they were in hyperspace, seeing the the hyperspace creatures that Grogu saw, because that's a direct connection to like the Rebels TV show, and I thought that was really cool.
I saw that and I was really curious about that. I didn't know if we were going to talk about that because it was like so minor, but that really had me curious. I didn't know what that was. That's interesting.
Yeah, that directly connects to a lot of stuff that happens later in Rebels, and is pretty critical to some of the end stuff that happens in Rebels actually.
Space Cthulhu.
So it's interesting that was specifically pointed out. I don't know if it was just like a quick cameo or if that's going to be related somehow, because I mean, there is the whole connection with Ahsoka and all that, and she's also connected to Rebels and stuff. So I
She'll
don't know.
probably be
It was
making
cool.
us a show cameo on this.
Speaking of, I
One might
think it was said online that Grogu was training with Luke Skywalker for 2 years, right?
It was
we
definitely
were-
a couple years at least, I think, is what
And I
I've
think
heard.
we were talking about how
I don't
long
think it was that long.
Navarro.
I think the time frame has only been 2 years in total for the whole show, like 9 ABY to like 11 ABY.
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure I saw
We'll
that.
have to double
online
check that,
he
but
was
I
training with.
I thought I heard something about Jon Favreau talking about the time period being fairly larger, and that's supposed to be somewhat indicated by the progress of the town. Because if this was just 2 years, that's a lot of progress in 2 years.
is.
That would be kind of unbelievable. So I think I would hope that it's more than that, because that would be a little bit more believable than all that progress in 2 years.
Yeah.
So my guess would be at least 5 or so, maybe more throughout all of this, from season 1 to now. But who knows? I guess
Especially
that's
just
something
like
we'll have to check on.
the evolution of Cara Dune's character too, and she's like, oh yeah, she's an elitist. I did like they're like Carl Weathers fills him in on everything like politically happening in Star Wars and in the Outer Rim as well, and about the New Republic. I did like him catching everything up and like, oh, here's what's new. Like, here's everything that you've missed, dude.
And like we got a spot of land for you if you want to stay. Like you can be our what did you say?
Sheriff.
Sheriff, and landed gentry. Makes him a top 1%er
Or as
immediately.
Marshal. He was like, you want to be my Marshal. Yep. Talk about
I'm on a
Moff Gideon and his war crimes.
True, right? Because they explain why she's not in the show essentially.
Yep. And they just, like, oh, she says some really messed up stuff, dude. So she can't be here.
Yeah.
What should we do, sir? Kill a character? No. Write her off. Continue to sell action figures tenfold.
I did really like when he got to the planet, which I didn't catch. It was just a name to me. Nothing significant. When he got to the castle, and he got out of the ship and it was raining, and the robot popped in. I'm like, this reminds me of Attack of the Clones when like Obi-Wan went to Kamino. I thought that
Honestly,
was
rain in Star Wars is one of my favorite things.
Oh man, can we talk about that Andor first episode of that first scene? Maybe not the first scene, but like, man, that Blade Runner esque scene when he walks to the bar, so
was
beautiful. Yeah, it's so good. Really cinematic. I enjoyed that.
I mean, they definitely captured the feel of Star Wars for the most part, besides a couple of the aliens.
Yeah.
But everything else I thought fit pretty well. All the edits were like classic Star Wars. They do those corny little like wipes or like zoom in or like, whatever.
And the transitions are fire,
The
man.
transitions, yeah.
Love those.
It's like right from the prequels, they pulled some of those, and I'm like, damn, okay. Like they're
Dude,
definitely
those
they know what
prequel
they're doing.
transitions are ingrained in my memory.
I know, right? They're so corny.
Resolves.
Like you could do that in Windows Movie Maker back in the days, sort of shit, and you're
I
like,
do it
okay.
on PowerPoint to this day, man.
Yeah, it's like, all right, but like it fits. That's just how it was done. So it's like it's consistent.
What do we think about IG-11 making a comeback in the season, perhaps? Necessary?
No,
I agree.
not necessary. But
I feel like he could have used another droid that he could build some trust with. I mean, this one's already tried to kill Grogu again. So is he really trustworthy? I don't know.
Yeah. And is Grogu gonna understand that he's a friend now and that they changed their programming or something? Like,
and it feels lazy too, because it's like, dude, this was almost a few years ago now. Why didn't you just do this in season 2? Why didn't
I
you
know, it's
pack
like,
it
if
on
you
there?
wanted, like, you could have repaired him right afterwards, you know, or
Yeah.
something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And why do you need a
absolutely
droid
could.
anyways? I guess I'm not sure why. I
So
know it's to explore the
thought
planet.
process,
But
his thought process is to have someone with him because he's worried about the planet being toxic. A droid doesn't
Yeah.
have to deal with that. Which,
right, but
sure,
his
cool.
helmet is like sealed, isn't it?
Assuming
You
it
hear
has some
that
kind of filtration system.
Yeah.
right? Like, it was actually kind of weird in that first scene with the kid. He put the helmet on, and you hear that little like airlock
Yeah, the pressurization.
sound,
Yeah.
and I'm like, his hair's sticking out. How are you gonna pressurize?
yeah, that was,
Like that
yeah.
doesn't make sense.
Oh, he was just
That's
doing
so
that with his
stupid.
mouth, man. He was role playing. He was really into it. It's like when you load your.
it wasn't great. No.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't. Sure, I guess future technology, but like, or I guess
It's crazy
long
to
time
think
ago in a
that,
galaxy far, far away. So I guess not future, but
like how
space
big.
technology.
To me, Andor felt really big budget. It felt extremely big budget. It felt cinematic. It felt like it was done right. I didn't have a ton of issues with like little things, and while watching this, I have to suspend so much disbelief to enjoy it, and I which is fine, you know. But I'm just like, man, just the parallels of what Andor is, what Mandalorian is. And I'm just like,
See, I think the opposite. I think Mando was big budget, and it's not looking like it.
it's
And
not.
Andor
That's
was
what.
given shit to work with and made simple shit work in their favor.
Yeah.
Half the scenes that are filmed in Andor look like it could just be some random backyard of somewhere.
Oh, I think it's
and,
so
like,
cinematic and beautiful. I think they did a great job with
It is.
it.
That's the part. So they did a good job lining up shots. They did a good job of like explaining why they were certain places. This show, I mean, everything, I do know this for a fact, it's all backdropped. They got rid of actual like on-scene filming for Mando completely.
Yeah, it's in the whatever that place is called.
It's
The,
like this like 3D room where this like screen moves around with them. It's cool, but at the same time it's like, okay, well, everything I'm looking at is computer generated, and that's not doing me any favors. But then also it's just the cinematography of it. It's kind of bland.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know, at this point they're like, well, it's a very secured, like everyone knows Mandalorian, like we don't need to get new people to watch, you know. It's like everyone's gonna come back. It's Star Wars, you know. Like we don't need to try with Star Wars. I don't know if that's their thing with it. Maybe it's just not a very good premiere, because in comparison to season 2 of The Mandalorian, I absolutely loved it.
Season 2
Loved
premiere
it.
was fire.
It was
Season 1 premiere
amazing.
was even better.
I do it.
But
Yeah,
Season 3, no, underwhelming.
I agree. I don't know what the synopsis for the show is. If it's action adventure kind of thing like that. The only action we got was just kind of shooting some pirates. You know,
And
it just
Well, it's
felt
definitely
like
heavily inspired by westerns, so
It is.
I
Very
guess
true.
I'm not too surprised by the slower pace, because I'm pretty sure westerns back in the day were pretty slow paced.
They
But-
were. Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I'm not super impressed by the first episode. It's hard to
Same.
say because we all are coming in with really high expectations. Granted, the last 2 seasons were pretty damn good, so like, it's justified. So
Yeah.
it's like, it's hard to say if I'm like being critical because like the last 2 seasons were fire, and maybe it's just the first episode. Who knows? I mean, it's just one so far.
yeah.
I guess
No
we'll
one
have to
can
see,
say for sure.
But
Yeah. I have a really controversial opinion to say about this show going forward, and I know they're not going to do it this season.
Tell me you're not dropping out of the review series.
I want Grogu out of the show.
oh,
I
but he
do
is
not
the show.
I do not think he is needed for The Mandalorian to be a successful show.
I believe-
I think he's what's holding it back for half the storytelling, because they love to just shoehorn in these cute little bits of him munching on shit and doing cute shit.
The only
and
personality he
marketability.
has is that he just tries to eat stuff and he's cute.
Exactly. And like the truth is, the actual story lies in Din Djarin's exploration of the galaxy and his hopefully rise to becoming, you know, the new Mandalore.
Yeah. I mean, that's
He
an
is quite.
interesting thought.
He is like just exposition, like quite a bit. You know, I mean, like, it's it's hard to explain. You know, like I feel nothing, I guess, when it comes to Grogu. It's like, oh, like he got him, and then Grogu's back. It's like, well, damn, like, okay.
Yeah, I guess it feels a little weird because it felt like he completed his mission finally, and
Yeah.
then now
Literally
he's,
what
like,
Carl
very-
Weathers said.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's like, why are you? Why do you
And it's
still
like
have it?
if
It's
you
like,
just watch
"No."
if you just watch the Mandalorian, like at the very end, he gives him up to Luke, and
And
then
then he's back.
yeah, and then you're like, didn't he just give him up? Like, isn't that the
Yeah,
whole
he
point of
gave
the
him a
show?
Boba, and you're like, what the hell? I thought he ditched the kid.
Like, wasn't that literally the whole point of the show? It was the last season for him to give for him to like get him to train, and he did. And then it's like, what happened? And it's like, oh, you're just chilling now.
Yeah, because now he's more like just he's there because he's raising him as like a Mandalorian essentially and
Yeah.
teaching him, which is like, all right, but I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll have to see. I'm kind of indifferent about him being there so far.
I agree.
Like it didn't really play either way into the story for this last one for the most part, besides a couple small scenes. So I guess we'll have to see. I mean, they've put a bunch into like the mystery of how he was saved from the Jedi Temple. We still got to figure that out. Like I hope they put something in this season about it because like they teased it and we still don't know. So
I was like,
I'm hoping at least we get that.
a few years ago when we were seeing stuff like that, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see some like Jedi purging flashbacks or something like that. You know, if there was someone like who came like who knew like from Grogu's past, or like that'd be really interesting. You know, of the story, because it is like kind of centered around Grogu, and I don't know if he's considered the main character, and if he is, then Mandalorian's a great supporting character, and he does support Grogu quite well in his shenanigans.
Yeah.
I mean, like a lot of there's been a lot of scenes where it's just kind of like silence, and they just look at each other, and they do great work through their body language and just their behavior and their closeness. So you can tell that they just care for each other because of the way they express their body behavior, which is like it's really good. You know, and they really do care about each other, and it's not like they bond or anything like that, just through survival, and you just know the Mandalorian cares about him for everything that he's gone through, which is like, oh, that's some very good stuff that we've seen in the seasons. But just like now it's about Mandalorian, now it's about Mando, and like finally he has a task for himself, and it's like, where does Grogu, like, where is he in this? What's his stake?
Yeah.
Like, what's he about in it?
Yeah. What's he gonna add to the adventure besides needing to be protected? Because
Exactly, because
he's there on purpose, not because
Yeah.
Mandalorian's trying to get him somewhere.
Yeah, it's just like doesn't have to be here. It's like, I'm also here though.
Right. Like he's got to contribute something. Like there's got to be some story about him.
Gotta pay some fucking rent, kiddo.
Yeah.
Bill is due.
Yeah.
You better start spitting some lines or some slicing and dicing with your Jedi stick, or else.
Jedi stick. Yeah. I mean.
What
I don't
color?
think I
What
have
color
anything else
lightsaber
to
would you
think-
give Grogu?
Well, my instinct would be.
You say green. You gonna say
I
green?
was
You gonna say green?
I mean, green makes sense, but like, that's so typical. That's what Yoda had. What else are you gonna give him? I
You
don't
look pretty good with purple lightsaber.
know. That would be funny as shit.
Gets Mace Windu's motherfucking lightsaber.
It's his first words,
It'd be too
motherfucker.
big. You'd have to hold that thing with all of his body weight.
Or the Force.
I would not mind them taking a little trip to Ilum. I'd like that.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be dope. That'd be like a
What's
weird
left of it?
side quest. Like they'd have to somehow give him a reason to go there.
Because keep in mind, it's probably going to be in the process of becoming Starkiller Base in this timeline. So I'm not sure if it's been harvested
interesting.
for all of its crystals yet, but yeah.
Maybe.
See, that's the kind of shit I would like them to show. I don't want, sequel shit, sure. But I don't mind the transition because there are some things that are shown off camera that would be pretty cool to see explored.
Oh yeah, they're definitely gonna show some of the stuff of the transition into the new sequel stuff.
That
I mean,
in-between
I'm pretty sure
stuff
that's
is
all the
quite good.
cloning. Huh?
That in between stuff is like that's the good stuff that I
Oh,
like to see.
yeah. The how it's transitioning and all the stuff that's happening in the outer rim and all that shit.
Yeah, like that's one of the things I really enjoyed about was Jedi Knight as well, is because you got to see like a lot of how the galaxy was affected by what we saw, with the aftermath.
Yeah. I agree.
But I guess we're just kind of like rambling a little bit, because I feel like we're all pretty I think we're all disappointed by it. Maybe our expectations were too high with it, but I think we all
Episode
wanted
2
it
is
to be
soon, though.
better. Yes, very soon. Hopefully,
So.
this review will be out on either Wednesday or Friday when you guys are watching this. So maybe a week's passed after the first episode. Sly's been very sick, and we've been all nursing him back to health. We've been making him loads of chicken noodle soup. We've had
Thank
the
God.
chicken noodle soup hooked up with IVs, pumping in the veins, full of that broth,
Yeah,
baby.
dude. Those noodles just barely fit in those little tubes. It's perfect.
The noodles are the tubes.
I am noodle. But all right, guys, give me a number.
8675309.
6.
I was gonna say 7.
I'm gonna give it a 5.
Ooh. Well, it can only get better than from there.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
Very
why.
true.
That's why. I'm like, you know what? This is a 5 for me because it's so mid-range. It didn't leave me satisfied, but it also didn't like shame me. It's just one of those things that I'm like, damn.
Wait, so
On to the next.
Sasha Banks is at a WWE. Does that mean that she could possibly be? Okay.
No, all the followers left.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
They're gone.
they could be back.
Man, I wanted a throwback. Come on, man.
I mean, maybe if they bring back, the Mandalorians to Mandalore, they could be like, "Hey, we're back now."
Hey, what's going on, guys?
It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
Lightsaber.
remember, hey, in the last season, Grogu's also given away. So, but he's back. So things
That's
change.
true.
True.
Things change.
I'm gonna call it now with a prediction. He's gonna go to those mines or the caves on Mandalore. And you know what he's gonna emerge out of there on? He's gonna ride out on a fucking mythosaur. Calling it.
God.
Calling it.
No way. Those things are. They
I'm
must
telling
be
you,
dead.
there's a reason why, and nobody thinks the caves are still around. I guarantee you, there's some prehistoric son of a bitch down there with oil, and they're gonna come out, and he's gonna be riding that bad boy
With his helmet off.
And roll credits. Yeah, real apostate shit right there.
That would be funny. All right. Well, we'll have to see if that comes true, man. All right. That's a very solid prediction.
Like
Thank you,
God.
thank
Okay, so is that a 6 then? Is that our official?
so.
All right, yeah, that's our official score for this episode, chapter 17 of The Mandalorian season 3. Thank you guys so much for tuning in on this review. Let us know your guys' thoughts on the episode down below in the comments, please. We're dying to know. But we'll see you guys later on the next review. But until then, bye, slugs.
Peace.